Lucy Letby being arrested in 2018, more than 2 years after doctors on her neonatal ward went to hospital managers over their fears she could be harming babies. Consultants who claim their warnings were ignored for months, raising questions for an NHS trust which had promised to listen to staff. This was the chief executive, Tony Chambers, just 1 year earlier.
Well, I've got two pledges to make. The first is, as a chief exec, I pledge to support a culture where the frontline staff are supported in raising concerns. And more importantly, me listening to them when they do.
Yet Tony Chambers is said to have asked consultants who'd reported suspicions to apologise to Lucy Letby. It took months for the nurse to be moved away from the ward to a desk job. The hospital didn't call in the police until the following year. In a statement, Mr. Chambers said his thoughts were with the children and he was truly sorry for what their families had gone through. He said, "The crimes that have been committed are appalling and I am deeply saddened by what's come to light. As chief executive, my focus was on the safety of the baby unit and the well-being of patients and staff. I was open and inclusive as I responded to information and guidance. I will cooperate fully and openly with any post-trial inquiry." Whistleblowers say managers were slow to act on warnings, including then Medical Director Ian Harvey. He's said he'd been determined to keep the baby unit safe and he'll cooperate fully with the inquiry the government's ordered. The former Director of Nursing, Alison Kelly, and Karen Rees, then Head of Nursing for Urgent Care, have also been criticised by consultants.
We do see a culture in the NHS where people are described as whistleblowers instead of being listened to, and that has to change.
Judy Ledger was an ITU nurse and now runs a charity which trains thousands of maternity and neonatal staff. She says many are still scared to speak out when something's wrong.
Frightened of what?
Frightened of the consequences. I mean, there are cases going on now that are pretty scary where people have been dismissed and had to fight their case and gone for crowdfunding, some that can't afford it. The psychological damage to them as well as their professional reputation. We are starting to see improvement. It just has to happen faster.
The idea there is pressure still to keep quiet is another reason the families of some of the babies Lucy Letby murdered have said today the inquiry into what happened must be statutory, with the power to order witnesses to attend and documents to be produced. They say it must have teeth to get to the truth and avoid the failings in Chester happening anywhere else ever again.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr. Peter Carter, who's a former General Secretary of the Royal College of Nursing and former Chief Executive of Central and North West London NHS Foundation Trust. I began by asking if he felt the independent inquiry ordered following the Letby verdict will get to the truth.
Well, I hope it will, and providing that they have the powers to do so, they ought to be able to interview everybody that they want to. I hope the families are involved, and I hope it's a very open and transparent process.
You talk about powers there. Should it be judge-led? Should it be a statutory inquiry so that people are compelled to give evidence?
Well, I would be shocked if anybody involved in this who was in a managerial position resisted coming forward. And I would hope that they would simply come forward and be prepared to cooperate.
You can't count on that, can you?
No, you can't. And if there's any sense that people are going to resist this, then it should be a statutory inquiry and people should be compelled to attend.
You yourself have had experience when you ran a trust of acting on whistleblower concerns. How hard was it to, protect patients and take the cause of the whistleblower in your experience?
Well, I personally didn't find it hard because I knew we were doing the right thing. Although what happened was that we had letters from all sorts of people saying that we're doing the wrong thing, that this is an injustice, and we stood firm.
You said when you were General Secretary of the Royal College of Nursing in 2009 that whistleblowers were being ignored by NHS managers. I mean, it's horribly prophetic because, again, this seems to have happened. Why were your concerns ignored then?
Well, sadly, they were, and people are not taking it seriously. and we've had a lot of rhetoric about this, and people over the years have said we've got to learn lessons from it. And I still cannot understand why, when someone comes forward and expresses concerns about something, that people simply do not say, OK, we're going to take this seriously, we're going to investigate it. And often you will investigate it if only to exonerate the person that's being complained about. But the worst thing that you can do is push it under the carpet, and then you end up with the tragedy that we've seen unfolding up at this hospital.
Can you be confident, after everything you've heard and your experiences in the NHS, that there isn't another Letby now acting, killing with impunity in the NHS?
No, I can't be confident, because we've seen over the years different incidents, different inquiries, and a failure to act on them. So I can't sit here and say that this won't happen again. I would hope that it wouldn't happen again, but I can't be sure of it.
So what needs to change to better protect patients now?
I think it needs to be inculcated into all managers that if someone raises a concern, you investigate it. And if at the end of the day, there's nothing to be found, then so be it. Far better to do that than immediately assume my staff right or wrong, or to make the assumption that the whistleblowers are up to no good.
Dr. Peter Carter, thanks very much.
Thank you.